So hello, it's time for the weekly catch up with Sean O'Connor. I mean, we are both roving reporters technically. I always say that it's Sean, but I think our respective carbon footprints could come under scrutiny because we're probably talking about what we're doing over the last couple of days, but we're in completely different places now. I'm in Miami, having just watched uh, the USA qualify for the round of 16. And Sean, where are you? I heard a couple of USA chants, but whereabouts in the world are you at the moment?
Kansas, great city, Kansas.
Kansas, right? Okay, I can hear a bit of sound in the background there. I'm in Miami, where the USA qualified. Yeah, as I mentioned, at the expense of Bosnia, down to 10 men. I have to say it's interesting getting to Miami because I have been here before, but it is such a Hispanic city. The first thing I see is a sort of a messy statuette outside a place next to the hotel. I ordered a bit of food, two little sliders, and there's a Cuban flag and an Argentine flag in them. And it reflects why Messi came to live here. I mean, he spoke about it. I mean, I think 71% of the population, I think, speak Spanish or certainly identify as Hispanic and obviously would speak a lot of Spanish. So probably not the US heartland in terms of watching the game. I did go out to try and find a place with a bit of atmosphere, and it was okay. Ended up back in a lobby bar later on. It was quite dead. Enthusiastic enough without being sort of fervent, I would say. But maybe, look, small sample size. Maybe didn't catch the hot spots in Miami. But what about Kansas? Are people getting caught up in the mood there, Sean?
Uh, I think spent a couple of hours today here. Like, there is a buzz, obviously. There is a buzz having their World Cup co-hosting in their own country, but it's more, I get the feeling that it's a bit passive a little bit, and there's not that, like, I know you spent the last few days in Mexico where you could probably write a book on the last few days and the energy and the electricity and the Azteca, whereas here, and maybe that's just the landscape of football here, it's a little bit passive, and people here more so just seem to be here for like the party, and the kind of game might be secondary, like win or lose, they're going to have a good time. I don't know if you hear behind me, there's a kind of big screen fan park here, absolutely buzzing. And the last 5-10 minutes of the US match here, like, you can't just think of anything like this at home. There was like two DJs walking across the stage talking over the commentary for the last 10 minutes. Like, I know it was 2-0 and it was kind of job done enough, but it was something I've never seen before. Two DJs walking across stage going, oh, there's only 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, getting the chance going. And yeah, it's a lot different to at home, obviously, but kind of the fans, it just seems a bit more, and even talking to someone, a few of the waitresses where I had dinner, they were kind of saying, like, one or two of the group stage matches were far busier for them, and it was actually a couple of the Mexico games here in Kansas were far busier from a bar dinner point of view rather than the US game where it's actually in this country.
Yeah, look, I think that makes sense, though. I think that reflects it's early stages in terms of they're still building that dynamic, and it's hard. Like, it is so spread out. And listen, the strength of this World Cup that we've spoken about is that, like, the love for football that exists in the country, but it's amongst, like, a lot of it is driven from the diaspora, who obviously then are passionate about their own team. So I wouldn't speak. I mean, you say you wouldn't see it at home, but I think if you were to go in, like, maybe it's sometimes I don't see it because I'm at all the football games, but I'm sure if you go into certain bars or certain places for big Irish football matches, or maybe for rugby games, you'll have a certain amount of people who are just there. They're sort of event junkies who are sort of enjoying it without necessarily being passionate about it. And that's what I felt in Miami. It was a bit like a lot of people in jerseys, but they were accessories. They were there to be seen, to be there. But maybe that's like, Mexico was such a high bar to compare it with. Like, it's an impossibly high bar to compare it with. Like, that's where I was for the last couple of days. I did a video yesterday, so I'm not going to do another diary about it. Although, I mean, the one postscript to it, I now see that that 3 people passed away in Mexico City during the crush, which is kind of strange, but it's kind of shocking, but maybe not Incredibly surprising just at how congested it was there. I don't know, like it's obviously there's an unbelievable passion for football in Mexico. It's catching on in the States. I know it's also a lot of their games have been out West Coast, so you were at the first one. I haven't been out there. I am going out to the next game in Seattle against Belgium, which will be good now, and maybe just get a sense of what it's like in the stadium now. You're 4 or 5 games in, but you've been in New York. You've been meeting Gary Lineker. How did that all go for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was quite like surreal. You know, you're working up games, traveling around, and then like all of a sudden I found myself in a room with Gary Lineker, Juan Mata, and Luke Littler watching a World Cup game. But yeah, I was invited in to have a chat with him. His Netflix studios in Times Square. People might have seen the piece and the interviews on YouTube. And yeah, had a chat with him, and then they said, "Sure, do you want to stay and watch Canada against South Africa?" So I sat at the back of the room. You know, Dan, at these type of things, you kind of got to stay out of the way. I wasn't going to sit down beside Gary and, you know, right in the front row seat. But yeah, just before Juan Mata walked in, he had like all his family and stuff there as well, and TV executives. And but yeah, 5 minutes before the game, Juan Mata walked in, and obviously Lineker, fluent in Spanish, they started chatting away. 10 minutes after that, Luke Littler arrived with his entourage, and I think the New York Darts were on 2 nights before, so they were guests later on that night. He's had like people like Frank Lampard, Gordon Ramsay, Niall Horan. So yeah, I'm not sure if I fit into that sort of clientele, but no, it's a good experience. It was meant to go to extra time. Canada scored late on, and then they were whisked away to start recording. So the actual set was kind of interesting. It was more like a modern day Friends set. This like sprawling Times Square modern apartment, like absolutely built from scratch. The team were telling me. So no, it was a good experience. Yeah, he was sound. Had lots to say about Ireland, about Pico Lopez, he's been very impressed with, and a bit about his past games about Ireland, and Paul McGrath, Roy Keane. So there was plenty in it. People can check it out. So yeah, one of the probably more interesting things I've done on my travels here so far.
Yeah, I suppose like we will sort of take stock next week. I think France have probably been the standout team so far. Then we have that Belgium comeback, so I'm going to see Belgium against the US, and we've obviously got the Pico game against Messi, which look, I'm going to do a video previewing that on Friday, so we don't need to do that here. Maybe just give us a rundown on where you're going. What's the next week looking like for you?
Yeah, Dan. So a few days in Dallas, and I forgot to say earlier on, I was hoping to watch the US game in the fan zone here today, but like remarkably, the fan zone was actually closed here not Dallas, Kansas. The fan zone here in Kansas was closed the same day as the US game, which I thought was pretty strange. But yeah, Colombia against Ghana on Friday. Joey Nang's Ghana, of course, and then I'm here in Kansas for July 4th. Then it's off to Atlanta for a last 16 game, which, sorry, Pico, but if Argentina get the job done, it should be Argentina in Atlanta. So, yeah, 2 good games to look forward to for me.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll see. Either way, you're going to get Cape Verde, so that's not a bad situation if it works out. But yeah, no, listen, I think we're done. It's good to catch up. And as we say, America not maybe gripped by football fever, but give them time. Nice scenes with country roads at the end. Pochettino a bit like is sort of a cheerful uncle at a wedding. You know, it looks okay, and who knows? Maybe this could be a big one with the Balogun suspension. Obviously, it's going to be a big story. He is their main striker, so that could be very tough for them against Belgium, who do have options, and were able to take off Doku and De Bruyne and still win. Listen, good to catch up with you, Seán, and I'll be back with a diary tomorrow looking ahead to Argentina, Cape Verde in Miami.
Cheers, Dan.